Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Russia's Catholic bishops are urging the country's government to respect those who conscientiously object to fighting in Ukraine. The bishops issued a letter in the wake of President Putin's announcement that at least 300,000 military reservists are being called up to fight in Ukraine. Those who refuse the draft face up to 3 years in prison. The bishops quoted the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which states that the permissibility of participating in hostilities is ultimately a matter for the human conscience, which belongs to the most secret and holiest part of man. President Putin's decision to call up reservists has sparked a mass exodus of young men to neighbouring countries. Various Christian humanitarian organisations are at the forefront of relief measures in hurricane-hit Florida. At least 19 people are feared dead after Hurricane Ian pounded the US state this week. In response, Catholic Charities USA has raised funds and is gathering supplies for affected people. In addition to that, evangelical Christian aid organisation Samaritan's Purse has sent 2 disaster relief units to the most affected regions of the state. They comprise tractor trailers carrying medicines and other essential supplies for those affected. Alongside Georgia-based Southern Baptist Convention has deployed more than 30 units across Florida for emergency services. During a press conference, the state's First Lady, Casey DeSantis, expressed gratitude to all those who have come forward to assist the flood-torn regions. The Category 1 hurricane is now heading towards South Carolina, according to the National Weather Service. Search and rescue efforts are continuing in the worst-hit areas of Florida. Across the state, over 2 million people have been left without power. India's Supreme Court has ruled that unmarried women can legally obtain an abortion. The decision, which was handed down on Thursday, reinterprets the country's Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act of 1971. Hence, now unmarried women will be legally permitted to abort the infant in their womb up to 24 weeks. Supreme Court Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said the new interpretation of the 1971 Act has to reflect present social realities, adding that as social mores change, laws must also change too. Nicaragua's head of state, President Daniel Ortega, has made another vitriolic attack upon the Catholic Church. President Ortega made his comments during the 43rd anniversary celebration for the country's national police force on September the 28th in the capital city of Managua. The left-wing leader said that the church is a tyranny and described it as the perfect dictatorship. He also lampooned Pope Francis, calling him a holy tyrant. The president said the entire hierarchy of the church has to be elected by vote of the masses. He also added that the bishops have no authority to lecture him on democracy, as they themselves are not elected in a democratic manner. 2 American Cardinals have said that the administration of President Joe Biden should reconsider its proposal to compel hospitals and doctors to perform so-called gender transition surgeries. Cardinal Blaise Supich of Chicago and Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York made their case in an article published in America magazine, which is published by the US Jesuits. The new rule is being proposed by the Department of Health and Human Services, reversing the Trump-era conscience protections that permitted medical professionals to opt out of such procedures if they are against their beliefs. The Cardinals say that the new rule issued is discriminatory, as it forces healthcare facility staff to perform so-called gender transition procedures that go against their faith or their clinical judgment. In the Colombian capital of Bogota, a group of feminists have tried to set ablaze the city's cathedral. The attempted arson occurred on September the 28th during a rally in March seeking the legalization of abortion in the South American country. The group tried to set fire to the main door of the cathedral. It was only the intervention of the police that forced them to withdraw. In response to the incident, the Archdiocese of Bogota is demanding civil respect on the part of the promoters and the participants of the marches and protests. The Archdiocese is also asking the authorities to guarantee the life, honour and the property of citizens. 25 years after her death, a new movie depicting the life of Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta will be premiering in cinemas across the US on October the 3rd and 4th. Entitled Mother Teresa, No Greater Love, the biopic will be aired in more than 960 locations across the United States. The movie is produced by the Knights of Columbus. It depicts the life of the saint and the impact of her missionary of charity order, which she founded. The movie was filmed on 5 continents. It includes commentaries by the Supreme Knight of the Knights of Columbus, Patrick Kelly, as well as Bishop Robert Barron of Winona, Rochester, and Jim Wahlberg, an American filmmaker who credits the Albanian saint for his conversion to Catholicism. The Malabar Church in the United States will witness the installation of its new bishop on Sunday. Marjoy Alapat will be installed as the new Malabar Eparchate of Chicago and will thus become the first eparchate of the Malabar Church outside India. The Malabar Church is one of 23 Oriental or Eastern churches in full communion with Rome. It's based in the South Indian state of Kerala. Sunday's ceremony will take place in Chicago's Malabar Cathedral of St. Thomas. As many as 18 bishops from both the US and India will be present, along with more than 100 priests. The decree confirming the installation of the new bishop will be proclaimed by the papal nuncio to the US, Archbishop Christophe Pierre. Meanwhile, Chaldean Bishop Francis Calabat of Detroit will deliver the homily. People across Poland gathered on Wednesday to take part in the annual recitation of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. The annual prayer event takes place on the anniversary of the beatification of Blessed Father Michael Sopocko. The priest was the confessor of Saint Faustina Kowalska, the 20th century Polish nun who received the revelation of Christ's divine mercy. According to organisers of the event, named Spark of the Divine Mercy, people from more than 200 cities gathered to pray for an end to the war in Ukraine. Other prayer intentions included refugees and families affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The national recitation of the chaplet began back in 2008 in the city of Łódź. Finally, 23 students from the Pontifical North American College in Rome have been ordained to the diaconate in St. Peter's Basilica. The men come from 17 dioceses across the United States and from the Archdiocese of Sydney in Australia. Ordaining the new deacons upon the Feast of the Holy Archangels, Bishop Austin Vetter of Helena in Montana told the men to be, quote, not angels but true messengers of God, proclaiming with your whole selves the gospel of Jesus Christ. The new deacons included Bishop Vetter's nephew, who is a seminarian for the Diocese of Bismarck in North Dakota. The ordination mass took place at the altar of the chair within St. Peter's Basilica. Bishop Vetter thanked the 23 men for saying yes to God and to the Church. That's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.